Hello, I'm Kathleen Carlson. This is Sacred Mantras and Symbolic Art. Today I wanted to talk for a few minutes about a question that I often am asked, and that is, are the Hindu gods and goddesses real? And the same thing could be said in Buddhism. Are the various Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, etc. real? I have looked at it symbolically. These were all representing different aspects of the unity that is Source, Creator, God, and particularly emphasizing an aspect they want to strengthen. So that's like a psychological and emotional level, which I think is valid. And Hinduism, those of us in the West often look at it and think that it's polytheistic, but it's monotheistic in the same way that Catholicism is monotheistic, and yet there is an entire pantheon of Catholic saints, which I grew up with and which I actually appreciated very much. I thought it was great fun to learn about all of them. Before I was confirmed, I was studying all of the saints to see what qualities I wanted to embody. The more I study it, the more I understand that many of these Hindu gods and goddesses actually were historic figures. Krishna is historic in Buddhism, Buddha is historic in Christianity, Jesus. And I've also become very fascinated by the people who are doing ancient archaeological studies now, both of literature and physically, to show that in the case of many of the Hindu gods and goddesses, that they actually were historic as well, going way back, much earlier than we thought. So if you're interested in that topic, Michael Cremo, I believe it's Cremo, is someone who is doing a lot of research with the Vedas, Upanishads, all of the sacred text of Hinduism. There's a historic aspect, and if you read the stories, and they're very mythological, I don't think that indicates that they are not historic. It may indicate simply how far back in history they go. I personally have been a member of quite a number of spiritual organizations beginning at the age of 16, and some of those organizations had leaders that were still alive. Some of them had leaders who had passed on, and I've actually been in spiritual organizations long enough to be there after the leader passes, and then to see what happens. The mythological components come in very quickly, 2 decades for sure. And then the stories that are being told about the founder, the person has become legendary. So I can just see that what would happen in 200 years, in 2,000 years, 4,000 years, 6, 8, 10, as you go through. That's how I look at it. I don't look at it as worshiping. It does us good as humans to have something that we admire so much that we can completely open our hearts and express our appreciation. So if that is a definition of worship, that's a really good thing. If it's worship that keeps you from recognizing that the real point is to develop those qualities within yourself, that all of these teachers came as examples and showed us our own potential, that I think is the real point. In that sense, concentrating on whatever you believe their qualities are can be very useful, and having numerous examples can be very useful. One might be more for protection, one might be for compassion, and I think that's just very helpful for us as humans. It shows more about the nature of our psychology than it shows about the actual nature of God. People look at me and they're like, what is this lady doing? In general, I've spent decades earning a living working in the software industry as well as the marketing industry and raising 5 children. And what is this lady doing sitting in a yoga studio chanting to a goddess? So at any rate, maybe this just helps a little to understand where I'm coming from and the possible interpretations that might work for you.